Starlight Keep HFY presents Starlight Keep, Chapter 4, Shadows and Starlight. The scent of freshly brewed elven herbal tea wafted through the air as Althea leaned over a small table in the Dragon's Rest Tavern, the station's most popular gathering spot. Across from her, Garrick nursed a mug of dark human ale, its earthy aroma a sharp contrast to the delicate fragrance of Althea's tea. "So let me get this straight," Garrick said, his voice laced with amusement. "You once accidentally charted a course through an asteroid belt because you were trying to observe the way the light refracted off frozen gases?" Althea's ears flushed a delicate shade of pink, a sign of embarrassment among her kind. "It was not intentional," she said, glaring at his barely concealed smirk. "I simply became preoccupied." "Preoccupied," Garrick repeated, shaking his head. "You're lucky you didn't turn your ship into stardust." "It was a calculated risk," she replied primly. "And might I remind you, humans are hardly immune to reckless behavior. Need I mention your impromptu test flight through a nebula?" "That was different," he protested, though the grin tugging at his lips betrayed him. "I had a hunch the ion currents wouldn't destabilize the engines. And if you'd been wrong, well, we wouldn't be having this conversation," he said with a shrug, eliciting a soft laugh from her. Their moment of levity was interrupted by a sharp crackle from Garrick's communicator. He frowned, setting down his mug. "Stonehelm here. Go ahead." A tense voice replied, "Chief, we've got a situation in the market district. Reports of a disturbance near the central fountain." "Understood. I'm on my way." Garrick stood, his demeanor shifting from relaxed to focused in an instant. "Althea, I might need your help." "Of course," she said, rising to join him. The central fountain of the Crystal Caverns was normally a place of beauty and serenity, with its cascading streams of shimmering water and the soft glow of bioluminescent crystals embedded in the surrounding rock. But now, chaos reigned. A group of merchants argued heatedly with an alien traveler, their voices echoing through the cavernous space. The traveler, a towering creature with chitinous armor and glowing eyes, gestured wildly with clawed appendages, its distress evident. "What's going on here?" Garrick demanded, stepping into the fray. The nearest merchant, a rotund human with a flushed face, turned to him. "This thing refuses to pay for the goods it's taken. It claims its credits are not recognized here." The alien emitted a low, resonant hum, its segmented mandibles clicking in agitation. "Not theft," it said haltingly in broken common. "Payment provided, not accepted." Garrick held up his hands. "All right, everyone calm down. Let's get to the bottom of this." He turned to Althea, who was already examining the alien's payment device. Her nimble fingers moved across the interface as she studied its display. "This currency is valid in several neighboring systems," she explained, "but it appears the station's exchange network hasn't updated to include it." The merchant scowled. "So what? We just let it walk away with free goods?" "No," Garrick said firmly. "The station's oversight isn't the traveler's fault. Consider this a lesson in the importance of inclusivity." He tapped his communicator. "Security, initiate a temporary override for this currency and update the system protocols." As the alien's payment was processed, it dipped its head in gratitude. "Thank you." "Safe travels," Garrick said, watching as the traveler moved on. Althea stepped beside him. "You handled that well." "Part of the job," he replied, "though I wish people didn't always jump to conclusions." Later that evening, Garrick found himself patrolling the Shadow's End sector, a dimly lit area known for its seedier activities. The atmosphere here was a stark contrast to the vibrant, welcoming energy of the market district. Shadows pooled in the narrow corridors, and the occasional flicker of faulty lights cast eerie patterns on the walls. Althea had insisted on accompanying him, despite his protests. "I can handle myself," she said firmly when he voiced his concerns. "And besides, 2 pairs of eyes are better than 1. They moved cautiously, their footsteps echoing in the silence. Garrick's hand hovered near his sidearm, while Althea's senses attuned to the faint energies that permeated the station. A sudden sound, a metallic clatter, broke the stillness. Garrick's weapon was in his hand in an instant, his body tense and alert. "Over there," Althea whispered, gesturing toward a shadowed alcove. They approached carefully, Garrick taking the lead. As they rounded the corner, they found a young human boy crouched beside an overturned crate. His wide eyes darted between them, a mixture of fear and defiance in his expression. "What are you doing here?" Garrick asked, lowering his weapon but keeping his tone firm. The boy hesitated, then muttered, I was hungry." Althea knelt beside him, her voice gentle. "What's your name?" "Ren," he stammered. "Ren," she said softly. "Why are you alone? Where is your family?" His eyes filled with tears. They're gone. I've been hiding. Didn't want to get sent away." Garrick's jaw tightened. He knew what the boy meant. Starlight Keep, for all its wonders, wasn't immune to the harsh realities of displacement and loss. "You're safe now," Althea assured him. "No one's going to send you away." Garrick nodded. "We'll find you somewhere to stay. Somewhere safe." Ren looked between them, his tears spilling over. "Thank you." As they escorted the boy to the station's sanctuary for displaced residents, the weight of their responsibilities pressed heavily on both Garrick and Althea. "You see so much of this, don't you?" Althea asked quietly. "Too much," Garrick admitted. "But it's why I do what I do, to make sure people like Ren don't get forgotten." She placed a hand on his arm. "Your compassion is what sets you apart, Garrick. It's what makes humans extraordinary." He glanced at her, a flicker of gratitude in his eyes. "Sometimes it doesn't feel like enough." "It is," she said firmly, "and so are you." That night, Garrick returned to the moonlit plaza. He stood, his arms folded behind him, looking up beneath the stars. Althea joined him moments later, her presence as calming as the celestial view above. "You're quiet," she observed. "Just thinking," he said. "About everything. About how much we have to protect, and how easily it can all fall apart." She followed his gaze to the stars. "The universe is vast, and its challenges are countless, but so too are the opportunities to make a difference." He nodded slowly. "You're right, and I guess it's up to us to keep trying, no matter what." Althea smiled. "That's the human spirit, isn't it? Always striving, even when the odds seem insurmountable." "Maybe," he said, a hint of a smile tugging at his lips. "But it doesn't hurt to have an ally like you." She met his gaze, her eyes reflecting the starlight. "Nor does it hurt to have a human by my side." They stood together in silence, the light and dark of their day balanced by the quiet beauty of the stars above.